I never imagined that a lottery win of $18 million would be the thing that destroyed my marriage and saved my life at the same time. My name is Margaret, and I'm 63 years old. For the past 35 years, I've been married to David. We have 3 children: Michael, who's 33, Jennifer, who's 30, and Robert, who's 27. I thought I knew everything about my husband. I thought we had built something solid, something real. I was wrong about so many things. It was a Tuesday morning when I got the call. I was at the grocery store, doing what I always did, buying the same items I'd been buying for 3.5 decades. Chicken breasts for David because he preferred white meat, the expensive Greek yogurt Michael liked when he visited, Jennifer's favorite herbal tea. I had spent 35 years memorizing everyone's preferences, making sure every meal was perfect, every holiday flawless, every birthday cake exactly what they wanted. My phone rang as I was debating between 2 types of pasta. The number was unfamiliar, but something told me to answer. "Mrs. Margaret Patterson?" a woman's voice asked. "Yes, this is she. This is Jennifer Rodriguez from the California State Lottery Commission. I'm calling to inform you that you are the sole winner of last night's Mega Millions jackpot. The amount is $18 million. I actually laughed. "I'm sorry, what?" "You purchased a ticket at the 7-Eleven on Maple Street last Thursday. The winning numbers were 7, 14, 23, 31, 42, and Powerball 18. Does that sound familiar?" I had bought a ticket. I remembered because it was my mother's birthday, and I'd played her favorite numbers, the ones she'd used every week before she passed away 5 years ago. I'd never won more than $10 in my life. "Mrs. Patterson? Are you still there?" "Yes. Yes, I'm here." "Are you sure?" "Completely sure. We'll need you to come to our office in Sacramento to claim your prize, but I wanted to give you the news personally. Congratulations." I stood in the pasta aisle of Ralph's supermarket, holding a box of rigatoni in one hand and my phone in the other, and I couldn't breathe. $18 million. After taxes, it would be close to 10 or 11 million. Life-changing money. Freedom money. I abandoned my cart and practically ran to my car. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely get the key in the ignition. All I could think about was telling David, 35 years of marriage, and we'd always talked about what we'd do if we won the lottery. "We'd travel," he always said. "See Europe, buy a house on the coast, help the kids." David worked as a senior accountant at Brennan & Associates, a mid-sized firm in downtown Los Angeles. He'd been there for 22 years, working his way up steadily. He was always at the office, always working late, always putting in extra hours. I was proud of him. I thought his dedication meant something. I drove straight to his office building, a 15-story structure with mirrored windows. I'd been there 100 times over the years, bringing him lunch he'd forgotten, dropping off dry cleaning, being the dutiful wife. The security guard, Marcus, knew me by name. "Morning, Mrs. Patterson," he said with a warm smile. "Mr. Patterson expecting you?" "It's a surprise," I said, my voice higher than normal with excitement. "He's on the 8th floor, same office. Go on up." I took the elevator, watching the numbers light up. My heart was pounding. How do you tell your husband you've just won $18 million? I tried to imagine his face, his reaction. Would he shout, cry, pick me up and spin me around like he used to when we were young? The 8th floor was quiet. It was almost 11 in the morning, and most people seemed to be in meetings or at their desks. I knew David's office was at the end of the hall, the one with his name on a brass plate next to the door. David Patterson, CPA. As I got closer, I heard something. At first, I thought maybe he was on a conference call. But the sound was wrong. It wasn't the cadence of business talk. It was rhythmic, intimate, and then I heard a woman laugh, breathy and low. My hand froze on the doorknob. God, David, what if someone comes in? That wasn't a conference call. The door's locked, baby. Besides, everyone thinks I'm reviewing the Henderson file. His voice. My husband's voice, thick with something I hadn't heard in years. Desire, passion, things I thought had just faded with age and familiarity. I should have knocked. I should have walked away. Instead, I used the key he'd given me years ago, the one I'd kept on my keychain next to my car key and the key to our house. The one he probably forgot I had. The lock turned silently, and I pushed the door open. David was sitting in his leather desk chair, pushed back from his desk. His shirt was unbuttoned, his tie loose around his neck, and on his lap, straddling him, was a woman I recognized. Melissa Chen. She was 31 years old. I knew because I'd ordered flowers for her birthday party last year. At David's request. It's for office morale, he'd told me. She's a good employee. Melissa's skirt was hiked up around her waist. David's hands were on her hips. They were so focused on each other they didn't hear the door open. "David," I said quietly. Melissa screamed and scrambled off him, nearly falling in her haste. David's face went from flushed with passion to white with shock in an instant. "Margaret, what are you? This isn't—" "How long?" I asked. My voice sounded strange to my own ears. Calm, distant, like I was asking about the weather. "I should go," Melissa stammered, trying to pull her skirt down and grab her blouse from the floor at the same time. "How long, David?" He was fumbling with his shirt buttons, his hands shaking. "Maggie, let me explain." "How long?" Something in my tone made him stop. He looked at me, really looked at me, and maybe he saw something in my face that scared him because he sank back into his chair. 4 years, he whispered. 4 years, 4 Christmases, 4 anniversaries, 4 birthday cakes I'd baked for him, 4 years of I love you and how was your day? And don't work too late, honey. Melissa grabbed her shoes and ran past me, not meeting my eyes. The door clicked shut behind her. "Maggie, please sit down. Let me explain." "Explain?" I laughed, and it sounded harsh even to me. "Explain what? That for 4 years you've been screwing a woman young enough to be your daughter while I've been at home making your dinner? It's not like that. She doesn't mean anything." "Then why?" The calm was cracking now. I could feel something hot and sharp pushing up through my chest. If she doesn't mean anything, why risk everything? Our marriage, our family, your career? He ran his hands through his hair. A gesture he always made when he was stressed. "Because I'm 58 years old, Maggie. Because I wake up every morning and see myself getting older, and I panicked." She made me feel young again. "It was stupid, I know, but you did it anyway." I stepped further into the office, and he actually flinched. "For 4 years, you looked me in the eye every single day and lied to me. I never wanted to hurt you. Then what did you want?" He was silent for a long moment. Then, "I wanted both. Is that so terrible? I wanted my marriage, my family, my life, and I wanted to feel alive again, just for a little while." "Both." I repeated the word like it was foreign. "You wanted both. Maggie, I love you. I do. You're my wife, the mother of my children. But you and we've been together so long, we're more like roommates than lovers. You have to admit that. So this is my fault?" The anger was rising now, hot and bright. "Because I'm not exciting enough? Because after 35 years of making your meals and raising your children and supporting your career, I'm boring? That's not what I meant." "What did you mean, David?" He looked at me helplessly. "I don't know. I just know I'm not ready to be old yet. And with her, I don't feel old." I stood there, looking at this man I'd slept next to for 35 years, and I realized I didn't know him at all. Or maybe I did, and I just refused to see it. "I came here to tell you something," I said quietly. He looked up, hope flickering in his eyes. Hope that I'd forgive him, probably. Hope that we could sweep this under the rug and pretend it never happened. "I won the lottery this morning. $18 million. His mouth fell open. "What?" $18 million. "That's what I came to tell you. I was so excited, I couldn't wait. I drove straight here. I smiled, and it felt like my face might crack. Aren't you lucky I did?" "Maggie, wait. I'll see you at home, David. We have a lot to discuss." I walked out of his office, down the hall, into the elevator. I drove home on autopilot, my hands steady on the wheel even though inside I was screaming. When I got home, I sat in my car in the driveway for 20 minutes, staring at our house. It was a nice house. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, a 2-car garage. We'd bought it when Jennifer was born, stretched ourselves thin on the mortgage. I'd spent years making it perfect. The garden I'd planted, the kitchen I'd renovated, every throw pillow and picture frame chosen with care. How much of my life had I spent making things perfect for other people? I walked inside and called the first person I could think of who might understand. "Hey, Mom," Jennifer answered on the second ring. "What's up? Can you come over? I need to talk to you." Something in my voice must have alarmed her because she said, "I'll be there in 20 minutes. True to her word, Jennifer arrived quickly. My daughter had always been sharp, observant. She worked as a corporate lawyer, successful in her own right. She'd inherited her father's analytical mind and, thankfully, none of his moral flexibility. "Mom, you look like you've seen a ghost. What happened?" I told her everything. The lottery win, driving to David's office, what I'd found there. She listened without interrupting, her face growing progressively more angry. "4 years?" she said when I finished. "That son of a bitch." "Jennifer." "No, Mom, no. You don't get to defend him. 4 years he's been lying to you. To all of us." She stood up and started pacing. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know." "You're going to divorce him, obviously." "It's not that simple. We've been married for 35 years. We have 3 kids, a home, a whole life. That he's been lying about for 4 years." Jennifer's voice rose. "Mom, he doesn't respect you. If he did, he wouldn't have done this. Maybe it's partly my fault. Maybe I did become boring. Maybe." "Stop." Jennifer sat down next to me and grabbed my hands. "Stop right now. Nothing you did or didn't do made him cheat. That was his choice. His failure, not yours." I started crying then, really crying for the first time since I'd walked into that office. Jennifer held me while I sobbed, stroking my hair like I used to stroke hers when she was little and had nightmares. "What am I going to do?" I whispered. "First, you're going to call a lawyer. Then you're going to protect yourself. That lottery money? That's yours, Mom. You won it. Don't tell Dad you're claiming it yet, not until you have legal protection. But we're married. It's community property. We'll figure it out. But Mom, promise me you won't let him manipulate you. He's going to try to make this about midlife crisis or stress or whatever excuse he can think of. Don't let him." David came home at 6, like he always did. Jennifer had left an hour earlier, after making me promise to call a divorce attorney first thing in the morning. He walked in cautiously, like he was approaching a wounded animal. "Maggie?" I was sitting on the couch, a glass of wine in my hand. I'd never been much of a drinker, but tonight called for it. "We need to talk," he said. "Yes, we do." He sat down across from me, not next to me. That told me everything I needed to know about where his head was. "I'm so sorry," he began. "I know that's not enough, but I am. It was a terrible mistake, and I ended it. I told Melissa today it's over. 4 years is a long mistake, David. I know. But it's over now. I choose you. I choose our marriage. How generous of you." He flinched at my tone. "I understand you're angry." "Angry?" I laughed. "I'm not angry, David. I'm devastated. There's a difference. Then let me make it up to you. We can go to counseling. We can work through this. The lottery money, we can use it to start fresh. Travel like we always talked about. Renew our vows. Whatever you need." "The lottery money." "Yes. 18 million. Maggie, that changes everything. We can retire early, both of us. We can actually live instead of just existing." I took a sip of my wine. "Tell me something. If I hadn't won the lottery, would you have told me about Melissa?" He hesitated a second too long. "I don't know. Maybe. Eventually. So you would have kept lying to me, kept sleeping with her, kept having your cake and eating it too. That's not fair. What's not fair is that I spent 35 years being faithful to you while you were planning your future with someone else." I set down my wine glass. "When were you going to leave me?" "What? I wasn't." "Don't lie to me anymore, David. Please. I think I deserve at least that much honesty." He looked down at his hands. "I wasn't going to leave you. Not really. Sometimes I thought about it. When I was with her, what it would be like to start over. And now that there's $18 million on the table, you choose me. How convenient." "It's not about the money, isn't it? Because from where I'm sitting, that's exactly what it's about. You want half of my lottery winnings, so suddenly you're willing to end your affair and recommit to our marriage. Maggie, that's not true. I love you." "Do you?" I stood up. "Because love is a verb, David. It's something you do, not just something you say. And your actions for the past 4 years have shown me exactly how you feel. So what are you saying? You want a divorce? I'm saying I need time to think. I'm saying I don't trust you anymore. And I'm saying that $18 million is mine. I won it. With my mother's numbers, not ours. His face changed. It was subtle, but I saw it. The hardening around his eyes. California is a community property state. You won it while we were married. Legally, I'm entitled to half. There it is, I said softly. That's what you're really worried about. Not our marriage, not our family, the money. I didn't mean it like that. Yes, you did. And that's how I know everything you said before was a lie. I picked up my purse. I'm going to Jennifer's for the night. I need space. Maggie. Wait. But I was already walking out the door. I spent the next 3 days at Jennifer's apartment. During that time, I did several things. First, I hired a lawyer. His name was Thomas Rivera, and he specialized in high-asset divorces. He was expensive, but Jennifer insisted. You get what you pay for, she said. And right now, you need the best. Second, I went to Sacramento and officially claimed my lottery winnings. I chose the lump sum option, which, after taxes, came out to $11.2 million. Mr. Rivera had advised me to set up a trust immediately to protect the assets. Your husband will fight for half, he warned me. But we have some options. The ticket was purchased with money from your personal checking account, correct? Yes. I have my own account for household expenses. David gives me an allowance each month. Mr. Rivera's eyebrows rose. An allowance? You're 63 years old, and your husband gives you an allowance? When he put it like that, it sounded pathetic. He handles all our finances. He always has. Does he now? Mr. Rivera made a note. That's interesting. Very interesting. Third, I started asking questions. I called our credit card companies and requested statements for the past 4 years. I logged into our joint bank account, something I rarely did because David always said he had it under control. I started looking at numbers, and I didn't like what I saw. There were charges I didn't recognize. Hotels, restaurants, jewelry stores, thousands of dollars spent at places I'd never been, on things I'd never received, all from our joint accounts. I brought the statements to Mr. Rivera. He looked through them, his expression growing darker. Mrs. Patterson, your husband has been spending marital assets on his affair. This is called dissipation, and it's relevant in divorce proceedings. You may be entitled to reimbursement. How much? I asked. He calculated quickly. Based on what I'm seeing here, at least $85,000 over 4 years, possibly more if we dig deeper. $85,000. He'd spent $85,000 on Melissa while I'd been clipping coupons and waiting for sales to buy new towels. There's something else, Mr. Rivera said. I'd like to hire a forensic accountant to look at your husband's business finances. Why? Because men who are comfortable lying to their wives are often comfortable lying in other areas. And if he's been siphoning money from his firm or hiding assets, we need to know. That would ruin him. He should have thought of that before he ruined your marriage. I authorized the forensic audit. A woman named Patricia Chen, no relation to Melissa, thank God, took on the case. She was thorough and terrifying. 2 weeks later, she came back with her report. Your husband is embezzling from his firm, she said bluntly. He's been doing it for at least 3 years. Small amounts, hidden in client accounts, moved around to make them difficult to trace. But it's there. Over 3 years, he's stolen approximately $340,000. I felt like I'd been punched. He's stealing? Yes. And worse, he's been using a corporate credit card for personal expenses and falsifying expense reports. The affair with Miss Chen? Some of those hotel rooms were expensed as client meetings. The jewelry? Marked down as office supplies or client gifts. Oh my God. Mrs. Patterson, I have to ask. Did you know anything about this? No, of course not. I believe you. But you need to understand, if this comes out, your husband could face criminal charges. Embezzlement, fraud, tax evasion. He could go to prison. I sat back in my chair, my mind reeling. The man I'd been married to for 35 years wasn't just a cheater. He was a criminal, What do I do? I whispered. That's up to you, Patricia said. But you need to decide quickly. Because once divorce proceedings start, all of this will come out. Your husband will be exposed. That night, I lay awake in Jennifer's guest room, staring at the ceiling. I thought about 35 years of marriage. I thought about David's face when we got married, so young and full of promise. I thought about our children being born, buying our house, every milestone and holiday, an ordinary Tuesday. And I thought about him with Melissa, about lies told in our bed, about $85,000 of our money spent on her, about $340,000 stolen from his company, about every time he'd looked me in the eye and said, "I love you," while planning a completely different life. I called Robert the next morning. My youngest son had always been closer to his father than to me, which had hurt for years, but I'd accepted. He was a commercial real estate agent, successful and charming like David. "Mom, is everything okay?" "No, honey. It's not. I need to tell you something." I told him everything. The affair, the lottery, the embezzlement. When I finished, there was a long silence on the other end of the line. "Dad wouldn't do that," Robert finally said. "There must be some mistake." "There's no mistake. I saw him with her. I have the financial records." "Maybe there's an explanation. Did you ask him?" "Robert," he admitted to the affair. "Affairs happen, Mom. People work through them. You can't just throw away 35 years of marriage over one mistake." "It's not one mistake. It's 4 years of lies, and it's embezzlement, and it's spending our money on another woman." "Our money? You mean the lottery money? The money you won while you were married to him?" "Yeah, that's half his. Mom, you can't just take it and run. Is that what you think I'm doing?" "I think you're not being fair. Dad made a mistake, sure. But you're talking about destroying his life, his career, his reputation. Over what? Hurt feelings?" I felt something crack inside my chest. "Hurt feelings? Robert, your father betrayed me in every possible way, and you're going to betray him back? What about forgiveness? What about the family? What about me?" My voice broke. "What about what I need? What about my pain?" "I'm sorry, Mom, but I think you're being selfish. Dad's worked his whole life to provide for us, for you. And now that you've got your own money, you're bailing. That's cold." "Robert, I have to go. I have a meeting." He hung up. I sat there holding the phone, tears streaming down my face. Jennifer found me 10 minutes later. "What happened?" she asked. I told Robert. He took his father's side." Jennifer's face hardened. "Of course he did. Robert's always been like Dad, same priorities. He's my son, and you're his mother. And he should be supporting you, not enabling Dad's behavior." I looked at my daughter, this fierce, strong woman who had my back unconditionally. "When did you get so wise?" "I learned from the best." She hugged me. "Mom, whatever you decide to do, I support you. If you want to forgive Dad and work it out, okay. If you want to divorce him and take him for everything he's worth, also okay. But please don't decide based on what Michael or Robert think. Decide based on what you need." Michael, my oldest, called that evening. Robert had told him everything. "Mom, I don't know what to say," he began. I'm really disappointed in Dad." "Thank you," I whispered. "But I'm also worried about you. Are you okay?" "I don't know. No. Maybe. I don't know. What do you need from me?" Such a simple question. What did I need? "I need you to tell me I'm not crazy for being this angry. I need you to tell me it's okay to want more than being someone's safety net." "Mom, you're not crazy. You're the sanest person I know. And Dad, what he did was unforgivable." I told him that. "You talked to him?" "He called me after you left. Wanted me to convince you to come home. I told him he was lucky you didn't set his clothes on fire." I actually laughed at that. "Very lucky. So what are you going to do?" "I'm going to divorce him. And I'm going to make sure he faces consequences for the embezzlement." "Good. He deserves it. Michael, he could go to prison. Then he should have thought of that before he stole from his company." Michael's voice was firm. "Mom, I love Dad, but love doesn't mean protecting people from the consequences of their own actions. He did this. Not you." We filed for divorce the next week. David contested it immediately, of course. He hired his own lawyer, a shark named Bradley Whitman, who had a reputation for destroying opposing parties. The first settlement conference was brutal. Mrs. Patterson is being unreasonable, Whitman argued. She wants to keep 100% of lottery winnings that are clearly community property. My client is entitled to half of all assets acquired during the marriage. Your client is also entitled to jail time for embezzlement, Mr. Rivera shot back. We have documentation of $340,000 in stolen funds from Brennan and Associates. We have evidence of dissipation of marital assets to the tune of $85,000 spent on an extramarital affair. And we have testimony that Mr. Patterson has been coercive and financially abusive throughout the marriage. David's face went pale. That's a lie. I never abused Maggie. You gave her an allowance, Mr. Rivera said. She's a grown woman, married to you for 35 years, and you gave her an allowance like she was a child. You controlled all the finances, all the decisions, all the power. That's financial abuse, Mr. Patterson. I was protecting her. She doesn't understand money. I understand it fine, I said quietly. I understand that you stole from your company. I understand that you spent thousands of our dollars on your mistress. I understand that you were planning to have your cake and eat it too until I won the lottery. Maggie, please, don't. I looked at him across the conference table. Just don't. The mediator, a tired-looking woman in her 50s, cleared her throat. Perhaps we should take a break. During the break, Whitman pulled Mr. Rivera aside. I couldn't hear what they said, but I saw Whitman's face change. When we reconvened, his tone was different. My client is willing to negotiate, he said. In exchange for Mrs. Patterson's agreement not to report the embezzlement to the authorities or to Brennan and Associates, Mr. Patterson will agree to a 70-30 split of the lottery winnings in Mrs. Patterson's favor. No, I said before Mr. Rivera could respond. Everyone looked at me. No, I repeated. I don't want his money. I have my own. What I want is justice. Maggie, David said desperately, if you report me, I'll lose everything. My career, my reputation. I'll go to prison. You should have thought of that before. Please, I'm begging you, for our children, for the life we built together. Don't do this. I looked at him, really looked at him. I tried to see the man I'd fallen in love with 35 years ago, but all I could see was a stranger who'd lied to me for years while stealing money and sleeping with someone half his age. You did this, I said. Not me. You made every single choice that brought us here. Mrs. Patterson, the mediator interrupted. I understand you're angry, but think carefully about what you're doing. Reporting this will have consequences for your children, too. This will be public. Ugly. I've thought about it. My answer is no. I won't protect him from consequences he earned. We left the mediation with no agreement. The next day, Mr. Rivera contacted Brennan and Associates and provided them with Patricia's forensic audit. We also filed a report with the police. 3 days later, David was arrested at work. Jennifer called to tell me. I was at home, our home, packing up my things. They just took him out in handcuffs, she said. Mom, it's all over the news. Senior accountant arrested for embezzlement. His mugshot is everywhere. How do you feel about that? I asked. Honestly, I feel like justice is being served. How do you feel? I looked around our bedroom. At the bed we'd shared for decades, at the pictures on the walls. I feel free, I said. For the first time in years, I feel free. Robert called an hour later. He was furious. Are you happy now? He shouted. Dad's in jail. His career is over. Our family is destroyed. And for what? Because you couldn't forgive him? I could forgive him for the affair, I said calmly. Forgiveness is between him and me. But the embezzlement? That's between him and the law. He stole from his company, Robert. He committed crimes. You didn't have to report him. Yes, I did. Because if I didn't, I'd be complicit. I'd be helping him hide it. And I won't do that anymore. You're selfish. You always have been. Maybe I am, I agreed. Maybe putting myself first for once in 35 years makes me selfish. I can live with that. He hung up on me. Again. Michael came over that evening to help me pack. You doing okay? He asked, carefully wrapping wine glasses in newspaper. I think so. It's strange. I thought I'd feel guilty. Or sad. But mostly I just feel light. That's good, Mom. That's really good. Robert's not speaking to me. Robert's an idiot. He'll come around, eventually. And if he doesn't? Michael shrugged. Then that's his loss. You can't sacrifice yourself to make other people comfortable anymore. David's trial was set for 6 months later. In the meantime, our divorce proceeded. Since the embezzlement was public knowledge, Whitman couldn't use it as leverage anymore. David ended up agreeing to a settlement where I kept 85% of the lottery winnings, he got 15%, and I got the house. He also owed me $85,000 in reimbursement for dissipated assets. He pleaded guilty to embezzlement and fraud. The prosecutor recommended 5 years in prison, but the judge, taking into account his age and lack of prior criminal record, sentenced him to 3 years with possibility of parole after 18 months. I didn't attend the sentencing. Jennifer did and reported back. He cried, she said, told the judge he'd made terrible mistakes and he was sorry. His lawyer talked about how he'd been under stress, had a midlife crisis, wasn't thinking clearly. What did the judge say? She said that being under stress doesn't excuse theft and that his victims deserve justice. Then she sentenced him. Jennifer paused. Mom, do you ever regret it? Turning him in? No, I said without hesitation. He made his choices. I just made sure he faced consequences for them. If I'd covered for him, he would have kept doing it. To his firm, to me, to whoever else he could take advantage of. I'm proud of you, Jennifer said. I know that probably doesn't mean much, but I am. It means everything, honey. A year has passed since I found David with Melissa. A lot has changed. I moved to Santa Barbara, bought a small house near the beach with some of my lottery winnings. It's just me, and it's exactly the right size. I started taking art classes, something I'd wanted to do since I was young but never had time for. Turns out, I'm pretty good at watercolors. I joined a book club. Made friends, real friends, who like me for me and not because I'm someone's wife. Jennifer visits every few weeks. Michael comes once a month with his fiancée, a lovely woman named Patricia. Yes, like the forensic accountant. No relation, but we all laugh about it. Robert still won't talk to me. David writes me letters from prison that I don't open. Melissa apparently moved to Denver and got a new job. Good for her. I use some of the lottery money to fund a scholarship for women going back to school after divorce. It's in my mother's name. She would have been proud. Sometimes, late at night, I think about David. I think about what we had, what I thought we had, and I feel sad for the girl. I was at 28, so naive and trusting, but I don't regret leaving. I don't regret pressing charges. I don't regret choosing myself for once. Because here's what I learned. You can love someone and still hold them accountable. You can forgive and still walk away. You can honor what was while refusing to accept what is. And most importantly, it's never too late to start over. I'm 64 now. I have, if I'm lucky, maybe 20 or 30 more years on this earth, and I'll be damned if I spend them making myself small for someone else's comfort. The lottery didn't change my life. Finding out who my husband really was changed my life. The money just gave me the freedom to do something about it. People sometimes ask if I'd do anything differently. The answer is yes. I'd have bought a lottery ticket years ago, but more than that, I'd have believed I deserved better sooner. I'd have understood that love without respect isn't love at all. I'd have taught my younger self that being loyal to someone doesn't mean being loyal to your own suffering. I'm sitting on my porch right now, watching the sunset over the Pacific. My neighbor, a widow named Helen, is coming over for dinner. We're trying a new recipe from the cookbook we bought at that farmer's market last weekend. Tomorrow, I have an art class. Friday, Jennifer and I are driving up to San Francisco for a mother-daughter weekend. Next month, Michael's getting married, and I'm walking him down the aisle since his father won't be there. It's a good life. A quiet life. A life that's completely mine. And it's worth more than $18 million. It's worth everything.